before the ocean rose, before the mountains disappeared, there was a man who stood alone against an entire nation. His name was Nuh alayhi salam. Long before you were born, long before this ummah, there was a world drowning, not in water, but in sin. Idols stood tall in the marketplaces. False gods had names. Statues had stories. People bowed, not to the one who created them, but to stones that could not hear, could not speak, could not save. And in the middle of that darkness, Allah chose one man, Nuh alayhi salam, a prophet with a mission to call his people back to La ilaha illa Allah.
Turn away from these false gods!
Day after day, night after night, in public, in private, whispering in corners, calling from rooftops. Nuh went to the poor, to the rich, to the leaders, to the followers, to the young, to the old. He told them,
"Your faith is your greatest strength.
worship Allah alone. You have no God but Him. Fear a day that is coming. Ask His forgiveness. He will send you rain. He will give you children. He will give you gardens and rivers." But they laughed. They covered their ears with their fingers. They wrapped their clothes tighter around themselves. They pretended not to hear what their souls were screaming to accept. Years turned into decades, decades into centuries, 950 years, almost 1,000 years, of rejection, mockery, and patience. If there was ever a test of consistency, this was it. The leaders of his people would say, "We don't see you as anything special. You're just a man like us. The only people who follow you are the lowest, the poor, the weak." They looked at Nuh alayhi salam and saw no status. They looked at his followers and saw no money, no power, no fame. So they rejected the message not because it lacked truth, but because it lacked glamour. Some of them said, "If you want us to follow you, push these poor people away. We cannot sit with them."
They are a corrupt generation! Their ways are abomination!
But Nuh alayhi salam replied with dignity, "I will never push away those who believe. They are going to meet their Lord. And I see you are a people who are ignorant." He wasn't building a fan base. He wasn't chasing numbers. He was protecting the sincere. Imagine calling people for centuries and watching your own nation turn their backs on you. Imagine warning them of a storm and they start making jokes about the weather. Nuh alayhi salam turned to his Lord and said, "My Lord, I called my people night and day, but my calling only made them run further away. Every time I called them to your forgiveness, they placed their fingers in their ears, covered themselves with their clothes, persisted in denial, and grew in arrogance. This is not a story of failure. This is a story of what it means to keep going when the world tells you to stop." After centuries of rejection, a moment came when Nuh's heart spoke a different dua. He said, "My Lord, do not leave upon the earth a single disbeliever from among them. If you leave them, they will mislead your servants and will not beget except wicked disbelievers." This was not personal revenge. This was the conclusion of a prophet who saw generation after generation born into disbelief, raised in arrogance, dying without repentance. And when a prophet makes this dua with certainty the decree of Allah arrives. Then Allah revealed to Nuh alayhi salam, "Build the ship under our eyes and according to our inspiration, and do not plead with me on behalf of the wrongdoers. They are going to be drowned." In a land that knew little rain, on soil far from any sea, Nuh began to build a massive ark. Every hammer strike was a warning. Every wooden plank was a sign. Every nail was a reminder that time was running out. His people watched him and laughed louder. They said, "Have you become a carpenter now, Nuh? Where is this flood you're talking about? We see no clouds. We see no storm." Nuh answered with calm certainty,
If you mock us today, we will one day mock you as you are drowned.
He wasn't angry. He was just done begging. When the ship was finally ready, Allah gave the command. When our command comes and water gushes forth from the oven, take on board a pair of each creature and your family except those against whom the word has already gone forth, and those who believe. Very few believed. Centuries of dawah, a world full of people, and only a handful stepped forward. They walked toward the ark, while others pointed and laughed. Animals arrived in pairs by the will of Allah alone. Hooves, claws, wings, and paws, moving toward salvation, while human beings turned their backs on it. Sometimes creation obeys more than the creature. Who can think? Among those who refused was someone Nuh alayhi salam loved deeply, his own son. As the dark clouds began to gather, as the first drops of heavy rain started to fall, Nuh alayhi salam saw his son standing apart, far from the ark. With a heart full of love and fear, he called out, "My son, embark with us, and do not be with the disbelievers." But his son, confident and blind, replied, "I will take refuge on a mountain to protect me from the water." He trusted the height of the mountain more than the mercy of his Lord. Nuh alayhi salam cried out, "Today there is no protector from the decree of Allah except for those upon whom He has mercy." A wave rose between them, and in a single moment the conversation ended. The water swallowed the distance, and with it his son. This is not just a story about a flood. It's a story about the pain of watching someone you love choose disbelief. Then the sky did what it had never done before. The gates of heaven burst open with torrents of water. The earth cracked and springs exploded from below. Water from above, water from below. Cities drowned. Homes disappeared. Voices turned from mockery to terror. The arrogant climbed roofs, then trees, then mountains. But the mountains were sinking with them. No army, no shelter, no technology. No, "I'm just joking." No, "I'll believe later." When the command of Allah arrives, later is gone. And in the middle of the chaos, the ark floated, like a leaf on an endless ocean. Inside it, a prophet, a few believers, and pairs of animals protected by a mercy that cannot be bought with wealth, tribe, or status. For days and nights, the ark sailed over what used to be their world. The places they knew were now buried under angry waves. Then, when Allah willed, the storm began to calm. It was said, "O earth, swallow your water. O sky, withhold your rain." The water receded. The mountains reappeared. The ark came to rest. On Mount Jude, what was once a world of denial was now a lesson etched into history. The people of Nuh were gone, not because Allah wanted destruction, but because they chose it over guidance. As the ark settled, Nuh remembered his son. He turned to Allah and said, "My Lord, my son was of my family, and your promise is true. You are the most just of judges." Allah replied, "O Nuh, he is not of your family. He was a person of unrighteous deeds. Do not ask me for what you have no knowledge of. I advise you, lest you become among the ignorant. Family in the sight of Allah is not blood, it is belief. Lineage will not save you. Only Iman will." Nuh immediately submitted. "My Lord, I seek refuge in you from asking you what I have no knowledge of. If you do not forgive me and have mercy on me, I will be among the losers." Even after 950 years of dawah, even after surviving the flood, a prophet is still humble. What excuse do we have? Then Allah said, "O Nuh, disembark with peace from us and blessings upon you and upon nations who will descend from those with you." The doors of the ark opened. Fresh air, a cleansed earth, a quiet world ready for a new beginning. Every step they took was a reminder Allah can erase an entire civilization and rebuild from a small group of sincere hearts. It's not about numbers, it's about truth. This is not just an ancient flood story. This is a mirror held in front of your heart. Ask yourself, if you lived in the time of Nuh alayhi salam, would you have laughed at the ark or helped build it? Would you have joined the crowd, drowning in trends, desires, and arrogance? Or would you have walked alone with a small group of believers into something the world calls crazy, but Allah calls salvation? Today, your ark is not made of wood. Your ark is your prayer, your tawbah, your Quran, your obedience, your refusal to follow a crowd. That is sprinting toward the fire. A time is coming when this dunya will end, when the sky will crack, when the earth will shake. And on that day, there will be no mountain for you to climb, no boat for you to build, no, just one more chance. The question is simple. Are you building your ark now, or laughing while it's being built? The story of Nuh alayhi salam is not just about those who died, it's about those who survived. And why they survived. They trusted Allah when it looked ridiculous. They stayed with the truth when it was unpopular. They walked into the ark when the world called them fools. One day, truth will be all that remains. Be on the side that lasts. If this story shook something inside you, don't let it fade. Return for episode 3 of Stories of the Quran as we follow another prophet who stood alone against a tyrant, Musa alayhi salam, and the escape from Pharaoh. Until then, build your ark before the flood of the last day arrives.